Well, one chapter of my life is closed for good. We buried Mom's ashes in the appropriate spot. Only a handful of people turned out for her, and I had a couple of people come for me as support. One person attended Viaduct video chat. I gave a speech and said some prayers to comfort the living people who loved her. We didn't have a minister since the only ones in the city who knew my parents had passed away. Giving the speech was the correct thing to do, but I know Mom would have hated it because she always hated when I spoke in public and when attention was not on her. If she'd been there, she would have had only nasty things to say. I did spend a lot of time on my speech and rehearsing it and making sure it was perfect and set the correct tone, but I know my mom would have wanted literally anyone else to have read it because she hated when anyone heard anything I had to say. Afterward, everyone said they loved it and it felt like closure, so I know I did the right thing. We paid for her grave marker. A little stone to set at the foot of my dad's grave to indicate her ashes are buried there. Her inscription is a coded message disguised as something totally normal that no one knows about but me and one other person. I will never tell anyone. My grandparents didn't have a stone, so I bought them a double monument while I was there. So it wasn't fully all about her, which I know she would hate. I also laid flowers on everyone's grave, not just hers. She's surrounded by people she didn't like, aside from my dad. I buried their wedding rings and a little necklace she'd made with their names on it with the urn. I posted a video of it on TikTok just because I knew it would be the last time I ever see them, and I thought it was interesting. A bunch of people saw it and commented that I should keep the rings or save them for a grandchild. Those rings needed to be buried. My mom was an abusive narcissist and my dad was her enabler. Their love and everything those rings symbolized needs to be gone. With Mom's urn sitting in the house, it felt like she was still kinda here. Now the house feels like it's just me and my family here. I know it's silly, but I needed to bury that urn. It's what my parents wanted, but it's also what I needed. I didn't cry. I let everyone else cry on me and I held them and said everything is okay. I did what I was supposed to do. I acted like how I was supposed to act. Her sisters and her mom were happy with everything. We had lunch together and I found out a bunch of things. They were so sweet to us and they want to rebuild the relationship and move forward. Mom would have hated that. She was the reason we weren't talking, and since she died we've figured out a lot of things she didn't want us to know. She wanted to keep us separate to make it easier to keep secrets. After the funeral, my BFF came to see me and she took me to get absolutely gone. She was the DD and drove me around to get completely wasted, and then we drove around eating McDonald's fries and singing. We had fun, and I was happy. She's the best friend ever. She knew I needed to just have fun where I didn't have to be in charge of anything and someone else took care of me. When I got to the hotel, I had amazing sex with my husband and then slept like never before because my son spent the night with my aunt and my brother had a separate hotel room, so we were alone for a change. My son has never spent the night away from us, but he spent 3 days with my aunt, and she was so happy, and my son was so happy, and I was so happy. I'm ready to move on. I know I still have processing to do, and until my brother has all his needs met, it's going to feel like she's still affecting our lives from beyond the grave, but now it feels like it's over now. It's like when you drop a glass and you pick up the big parts, but when you have to sweep up the shards and then you have to get a wet cloth to pick up the tiny pieces, and then you still walk in the kitchen with shoes on for a few days in case you missed something. I feel like I'm in the stage where I've got to get up the tiny pieces with a wet cloth. I finally see an end to the disaster. Did you like this Reddit before bed story? Subscribe for more vids like this.